Friends, it's T-Man, and our good friend over here, JasonBlaha, has posted another video for us to react to. The gym lifting recruiting fitness gear slave. Yeah, man. So Blaha says we should be gaining muscle year round, even on a cut. Wow, on a cut and gaining muscle all year round. He makes it sound like it's so easy, like everybody's gaining muscles. Okay.
We should be gaining muscle year-round, including when we cut. Hey, everybody, it's Jason.
In bodybuilding, you should be, but not in these sports. If you're performing, you don't build muscles performing. Get it? Muscles don't build performing. They build when your performance is compromised because they only build when they're damaged.
Blaha here, and I thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today. And again, this is one of these topics why so many guys just don't get as big as they should.
They just don't get as big as they should. Well, they get pretty big. They increase the sarcoplasm eating a lot of carbohydrates, an artificial diet called carbohydrates. Yeah. So I don't know what you're talking about, dude. Depends on how much carbs you're eating. If you eat a lot of complex carbs, you'll get massive. But that doesn't mean you built any muscle. You just expanded your muscle, the sarcoplasm.
Too many guys, they bulk and cut too aggressively, and they get caught up in this.
Listen to what he says. You got to read between the lines. Bulk and cut. Bulk. Bulk doesn't build muscles. Supplements don't build muscles. What builds muscles is damage. And then if you were to bulk, if you got muscle damage, right, you're lifting eccentrically, then your bulk and your supplements would do what? Would build your muscle, because that's what triggers growth. But concentric lifting, which doesn't trigger growth, the only thing it triggers is the nervous system. Get it? The CNS, my CNS. I got my CNS. My CNS is going on. Yes, I know. Your influencers have all the answers how to build muscles. Unfortunately, they don't. None of them do. None of them are doing it, and all of you are failing. That's it. You're failing, bro. Get it? You're failing.
This idea, well, I've got some extra body fat, so I should just cut really fast so I can go back to gaining. Right?
I'm gonna explain to you. If you're damaging your muscles eccentrically, doing what's eccentric overload, let's just put it that way, eccentrically. Well, guess what, bro? If you try to cut or whatever you're doing, they're cutting by trying to grow muscles and cut. You're going to get smaller than you've ever been before.
Here's the problem with that. All they do is lose a bunch of muscle. All they do is lose a bunch of muscle. Okay?
No, they lost a bunch of glycogen because you're just concentrically lifting, trying to cut. You're cutting, gaining glycogen, cutting glycogen. You know, does anybody understand bodybuilding, man?
And then where does that leave them? Did they wasted the whole bulk?
It's like Blaha. He never built any muscle. He just looks like an ordinary guy walking down the street. Look at him. There's nothing. He just looks like Mr. Shenko walking down the street. Mr. Shenko, is that you? He looks like this old guy. No, Mr. Shenko. He used to fix like furnaces down the street. He used to fix these old furnaces in houses back in the day, like the 60s and 70s. Mr. Shenko. He was like 85 years old. I remember him. He was in his late 80s. He was like 85 years old. Looks like Blaha. He was like 87. This guy was so old fixing furnaces still. He was like 87 years old, man. Jesus. Mr. Shenko. It's you, Mr. Shenko.
Because you should be gaining anyways. The problem with that mindset is because everyone thinks that they're going to get fast results doing stuff. And they have this idea that they shouldn't be gaining muscle at all, right? So they're like, the faster I can cut, the faster I can go back to gaining muscle. Yeah. But why aren't you gaining muscle on your cut?
I don't know.
You see the issue with the mindset, so then it causes people to speed it up. Just like people bulk too fast, and then they just get fat, and they gain a bunch of fat. And I've been guilty of that in the past, okay? I've been guilty of that in the past.
Number 58, the feeling of not jogging, the feeling of winning, number 1.
And that's why these days I've just slowly trimmed down and spent periods of time recomping a little bit. And again, I no longer look like a fat power lifter. I'm still not as lean.
I love that one. I don't no longer look like a fat power lifter. Isn't that bulky? Didn't you build muscle there? Fat. He calls it fat now. He actually admitted to it. He never built any muscle.
As I want to be, but here's the thing: have I lost any muscle? No. If anything, I've gained
Did you lost any muscle? You never built any muscle. What was there to lose if you didn't build anything?
muscle, and that's kind of the point I tell people. You know,
He's lying to you. If you have to tell people that you built muscle, then you're lying to people. They can see it. Body does the talking.
start these endeavors and they're like, well, I need to cut really quick. You're cutting more than half a pound a week. You're probably just losing muscle. And let's just be realistic about it. And you should be gaining it. And that's the whole problem. That is really the problem with it.
That's not the problem. And I told you, don't trust power lifters to give you advice on bodybuilding because they're not bodybuilders.
If you understand that you're gaining muscle all the time, then you're not in a hurry to say, man, I should just cut really fast so that you can lose a whole year's worth of muscle growth. You know, that's ridiculous. When you look at the research in all the studies, when weight loss is slow, protein is really high and training is dialed in, what happens? People gain muscle. They gain muscle. When you look at studies on advanced
They gain muscle. They gain muscle. They're not gaining muscle. They're just gaining weight called carbohydrate.
athletes, when protein is high, training is dialed in, and they're close to maintenance, do they recomposition? Yes. I mean, how many studies do
Are
we
you talking about fake bodybuilding now? I don't know. He has this everything confused here.
have to look at over and over and over on trained lifters?
He's doing a live feed right now. I kept checking it out. He was talking about Dr. Eric Helms. How that's what natties look like. Eric Helms is a fake. He goes, that's what they look like. They don't look full or whatever.
Where recomposition occurred when protein was really high or when the training was perfect. I mean, there are dozens and dozens and dozens of studies at this point where test subjects.
The reason why everybody screams about fake natties and then they go, look at this guy, and then he said he built this muscle, and then this guy and this guy and that guy, all of you have that problem, that psychological problem, because concentric exercise doesn't build muscles. And so you can't fathom how somebody built a muscle. Get it? They had to have faked it because it didn't work for you and it doesn't work for anybody else lifting concentrically, right? See, you already know deep down. You in your head, you keep thinking that concentric lifting a heavy weight is going to build a muscle, or they build muscles, or maybe it just is in the genetic elite, or you have to have good genetics to build muscles in the concentric form. No, unfortunately, genetics doesn't trump the concentric to make you build muscles. Get it? You understand me? Nothing will override concentric to make you build muscles. Nothing, because concentric exercises do not build muscles. But that's why you all have a problem psychologically. You're all mentally crazy, mentally retarded out there, because you keep thinking the fake natties, the fake guy, the fake people, the fake muscles. Yeah, they're most likely. I don't know. It's sarcoplasmic. Did they fake the sarcoplasmic? I don't know. I don't know what they're fucking eating to create sarcoplasmic muscles. See what I mean? You can't distinguish. Here's a problem. You can't figure out whether it's fake or real. You don't even know you don't know fake from real. I already know. It depends on their training, how they were training. It's kind of obvious. If it's concentric, there's zero growth there. So did they fake it? Maybe they faked it eating bagfuls of potatoes, complex carbohydrates to increase the sarcoplasm, or they took some steroids to fake it. I don't know. See what I mean? Now, if their training is mostly all concentric training, then I'll know whether their muscles are real. You know what I mean? There's a specific look there you're looking for. It depends. But you can also mix some sarcoplasm with eccentric lifting. See what I mean? You can mix it together. So you have real muscle and there's some, increase in the sarcoplasm as well. You know what I mean? It can aid a little bit, but you don't want a lot of it in there. Because it's fake.
Gained muscle.
So bodybuilding really is tricky. It's tricky, but it really is based on the triggering thing for muscle growth, to ignite muscle growth, is muscle damage.
And lost fat concurrently, all who had 3 or more years of consistent training. Okay?
No, consistent. So what if it's consistent? Big deal. Then that means they're adapted if it's consistent.
Who had 3 years or more of consistent
It's volume training that doesn't work in eccentric exercise. Volume, bro.
training. We have all these squat studies, these different studies, to where we see it over and 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 over.
Yeah, but they're not telling you whether it's sarcoplasmic or myofibrillar growth. They're just saying hypertrophy. That's a loose term. Anything can hypertrophy. If you get punched in the head and you get a boo-boo on the top of your head, did it hypertrophy? Yeah. Does that mean you grew a muscle there?
For decades, including the current studies with modern equipment.
Whatever.
I mean, it's been seen repeatedly.
What about when your muscles inflame? They get inflammation from all this lifting, high volume. Did you grow a muscle because they inflame through the inflammatory response? No, it's temporary. It's fake.
So it's only the whole physique world and the online fitness world. These are the only people who don't seem to realize that recomposition is perfectly normal. If you were to go look at any university that studies athletes and they look in the lab at the different programming and DEXA scan and whatever the various athletes, what do they say? Oh, yeah, look, we got their training right. There's always training studies too.
I don't know. What do they say, Blaha?
Yep, they gained muscle and lost fat. That's the desirable goal. Okay? That's perfectly normal.
They gained muscle and lost fat. I don't know, man. I don't think so. Not in concentric, not in eccentric lifting. It's impossible. Maybe concentric, they're phony. I lost fat and I gained the sarcoplasm. I increased the sarcoplasm after I lost fat. Yeah, you could do that. You carb load. So you lose a bunch of fat and then you gain muscle, he said. Yeah, you gain sarcoplasmic. You don't do that in eccentric lifting. That doesn't happen. That only happens in phony. Those are phony muscles in phony lifting.
That's normal in strength and conditioning circles at university level when they're studying all these athletes in the lab. It happens all the time. Yet the whole fitness world is convinced otherwise. Why? Because they want big changes in body weight. This is what causes the problem. This is why there's confusion. Everyone wants to bulk fast and they want to cut fast.
See, listen to what he says. Everybody wants to bulk fast, get fat, and then cut fast. Well, that doesn't make any sense. So you got fat, and then now you need to cut to get rid of the fat. And then he goes, you lose all the you get cut, and then you gain muscle. Okay, how do you get cut and then gain muscle? Okay, so you cut down, right? You get skinny first, right? Really skinny, and then you gain muscle. Okay, what kind of muscle are you gaining? Nothing. Carbohydrates. Get it? Carbohydrates. Carbohydrate muscles, bro. Get it, bro.
Reality is, get to a body fat you're reasonably happy with, and you can recomp all the time. You can recomp, or you can.
I'm not saying that doesn't look good. Getting really skinny and looking really skinny and cool. Yeah, you can get skinny and look really cool, and then pump your muscles out with what? Carbohydrates, so they get pumped out. So you give the appearance that you have muscles on very low body fat. Yeah, it looks cool.
Slowly cut and keep 100% of your gains and maybe add a little muscle instead of, well, I'm going to cut fast.
No, you're not adding any muscle. You're not building muscle, bro. It's bullshit.
Lose muscle and get right back to bulking again. Well, why do you even need to bulk? Why are you bulking to begin with? Do you think it's going to cause dramatically more muscle growth? It's not. More muscle growth? It's not.
Look, man, bulking doesn't build muscles. That's dumb.
All the data we have shows that.
That's like saying these supplements will build muscles for you. Bulking doesn't damage muscles for you, nor does supplements. None of these things damage them. You gotta damage them to create the growth state, bro.
Even gaining a half a pound a month for advanced lifters will maximize every single last drop of muscle you can possibly gain.
Oh yeah, whatever.
Anything beyond that's just fat.
Whatever.
Right? And I used to disagree with this, by the way. I'm correcting my own stance. I used to make all the arguments in the world for this. I made every logical argument possible. The problem is they're logical arguments. So if we were having a logical debate, would I have won? Sure. Would I be right? No, because the evidence doesn't support it. The evidence just simply does not support this idea. Okay?
Okay, whatever, Blaha.
And the reality is, if you gain really slow, it can be 100% lean gains.
Yeah.
You can stay at a similar body weight, and again, you eat protein high, stuff like this is where I mess with fasting, protein overfeeding. Right?
Yes, yes, Blaha, yes.
You can recomposition,
Okay.
or you can even lose a little body fat, and the scale goes down, but you make some.
Okay.
But guys like me, I'm not really ripped, and I guarantee you 95% of you out there listening are not ripped. So
He's not really ripped? He's got low body fat. I don't know. What's ripped, dude?
therefore, it doesn't apply to you.
Again, bodybuilding is not about getting ripped. Okay, bodybuilding is about building your body. That's all it is. It has nothing to do with ripped. That's something cosmetic you're doing. That's purely cosmetic. That's outside the realm of bodybuilding, getting cut.
Because it doesn't work that way. I get
Yeah.
that. Yep, you can go back to gaining again. But you can be gaining all the time. You don't ever stop gaining.
You're not gaining. If you're not damaging, you're not gaining. It's really simple.
Eat 300 grams of protein a day and keep your training perfect, and you'll
Yeah. You can eat a million pounds of protein a day and still do concentric lifting and still never build a muscle. Yeah.
gain muscle almost irrespective of if you're in a bulk or a cut.
Then why aren't you building any muscle? Why isn't anybody else building it? They're doing all these things that you're saying. Then how come they're not building? Why aren't they building?
To some extent.
See, here's the thing. If you damage muscles, wow, you got to eat a lot of protein. If they're damaged, you got to eat a lot. Like, I mean astronomically high amounts, especially right after your workout. The most important time is right after a damaging workout. You got to eat a lot. You get a loss, you get an apoptosis.
And it should be that way. That should be our mindset. But how many guys also, if they go into a little bit of a cut, they slack off on the how hard they're training with?
Again, I think he thinks bodybuilding is about like getting cut, lifting light weights, doing weird stuff. That's not bodybuilding. I don't know what he's doing here. This is cosmetic shit. Some weird shit he's doing.
Certain stuff, they don't push progressive overload because they're like, well,
Push progressive overload? You're not pushing progressive overload. In which direction? Up or down, Blaha? Up or down?
oh, you know, I mean, I'm not going to gain anywhere. I'm just going to try to turn. So then they cut fast.
I'm not going to gain, I'm going to maintain. What are you maintaining there exactly? You're maintaining what you already have, that your God-given muscle? Come on, bro.
They only quote unquote try to maintain, and then they lose muscle. Yeah, you
They try to maintain and then they lose muscle. Oh, you mean the glycogen? They try to pump some glycogen in there, then they try to maintain it, then they lose it? Yeah, that happens, yeah.
should be pushing your training.
Yeah.
Should be keeping your protein high and quit trying to lose weight so fast. You end up with better
Keep your protein high. Keeping your protein high and not building anything is a waste of protein, a waste of resources.
body composition if you can make some gain.
I only ever eat a lot when I'm trying to when I'm building muscle. When they're damaged and I'm building them. That's the time when I really eat a lot. Yeah.
Instead of losing them because you're in this mindset of, well, I just want to try to hold on to my muscle. No, you should be trying to gain muscle. Stop it.
Try to hold on or try to gain muscle. You should be trying to gain muscle. Okay, how do you gain real muscle then, Blaha? How do you gain it? Being a lifting slave, concentrically?
You should be gaining muscle.
See?
Ridiculous.
You should be gaining muscle.
Absolutely ridiculous. You should be getting bigger.
See, absolutely ridiculous, guys. You should be getting bigger. You should be gaining muscles magically. Magically delicious, you know.
Here all the time, guys and gals. Says me. It says most of the
Lucky Charms cereal builds muscles too. Get it? Magically delicious. Yeah.
best experts. This is what the data shows in
this is what the
nutrition
data shows. See?
on this stuff all the time.
You should be.
And especially when the protein
You should be building, but why aren't you building? You should be, though.
intakes get really high. If you start force feeding enough protein,
Yeah.
this shouldn't even be a problem. Okay?
It shouldn't be a problem, guys. Come on.
It shouldn't even be a problem.
Yeah. I'll see you in the next one. Tell me what you think about that. Like, subscribe, support the channel. Ciao, friends. This is ridiculous, man. You should be gaining. Yes, all the time.